Vera sat alone in the corner of the cold, dark room. She could not see, but she knew every crack in the wall, every broken floorboard beneath her feet. The room always smelled like dust and mold. It was the only place her stepmother allowed her to stay. She was blind since birth. Her real mother had died when she was very young, and her father had married again. But her father disappeared soon after, and the new woman, her stepmother, never loved her. She never touched Vera kindly, never spoke softly, only shouted, "Stay out of sight, you embarrass me!" Vera's world was always full of sounds, not sights. She listened to children laugh outside, running and playing in the sun. She could only imagine what colors looked like. She imagined yellow was the sound of birds, blue was the cold of water, and red was the pain in her chest whenever she cried alone. Every day, her stepmother brought her dry food, sometimes only once a day, and slammed the door shut behind her. "Don't come out, don't show your ugly blind face." But that night was different. The temperature had dropped fast. Cold wind came through the broken window. Vera curled into a ball trying to stay warm, but her thin blanket did nothing. She waited and waited, but no one came. Not with food. Not with even one word. Then she heard voices outside, people leaving. Her stepmother was going out to a party, laughing with neighbors. The door creaked open slightly. Had someone forgotten to lock it? Vera hesitated. She had never gone out alone. But her body was shaking. Her hands were numb. She had to move or freeze. Carefully, she stood up, using the wall to guide her. She stepped outside barefoot into the freezing night. Her breath turned white in the air. Snow crunched under her feet. It felt soft, yet it burned her skin with cold. She didn't know where she was going. She walked forward, one step at a time, arms stretched out like a ghost, hoping not to hit a tree. Then her foot slipped. She fell into the snow. She didn't get up. Her thin dress was soaked. The wind bit her skin like knives. Her body wanted to sleep, but her heart kept crying, "Is this how I will die?" But fate had other plans. A man named Jace was nearby, a human explorer. He had landed on the alien planet a few days ago to study weather patterns. He was staying in a small outpost cabin alone, far from the city. That night, he stepped outside to check his weather equipment when he saw something strange. A figure in the snow, small, barely moving. He rushed over. "Hey, are you all right?" "No, answer." He knelt beside the figure. It was a girl. Her skin was a soft silver tone, clearly alien. Her eyes were open but unfocused. She was ice cold. Jace wrapped his coat around her and picked her up. She was light. Too light, like someone who hadn't eaten properly in weeks. He carried her to his cabin and laid her on a warm bed. Then he turned on the heat and made some hot soup. He placed a warm cloth on her forehead. After a few minutes, she stirred. "Where am I?" she whispered. "You're safe," Jace said softly. "My name is Jace. I found you outside. You were freezing." She shivered and pulled the blanket tighter. I can't see." "I know," he said gently. "But don't worry. You're not alone anymore." Vera stayed quiet. His voice was deep but kind, not like the angry voices she heard all her life. He didn't yell. He didn't call her names. He didn't ask why she looked the way she did. Instead, he asked, "Are you hungry?" She nodded slowly. Jace helped her sit up and gave her a bowl of soup. She held it with shaking hands and took slow sips. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She couldn't stop them. "Nobody has ever helped me like this," she said. Jace's heart ached. He sat beside her but didn't touch her, not wanting to scare her. "Well," he said with a small smile. "Then it's about time someone did." She turned her face toward his voice. "Why?" "Because you deserve to live," he answered, "not suffer in the dark." Vera covered her face and cried softly. For the first time in her life, someone saw her as a person. Vera sat on the edge of the bed, the blanket wrapped around her shoulders. The room was warm and the soft hum of machines filled the air. She couldn't see anything, but everything smelled clean, like wood, fire, and something spicy. Soup? Her stomach still felt full, something she hadn't felt in a long time. Jace moved quietly in the kitchen, giving her space. He didn't ask too many questions, didn't talk too much. He just existed near her, like the wind or fire, gentle, but always present. After some time, he said, "I found a pair of soft slippers. They're a little big, but better than walking barefoot." He placed them by her feet. She reached out carefully and touched them. "You're kind," she whispered. Jace smiled, though she couldn't see it. "You're not used to that, are you?" She shook her head slowly. "No," she said. "Most people don't look at me. Or if they do, they look away." Jace pulled up a chair and sat across from her. He noticed the scars on her hands. Some old, some recent. "Did someone hurt you?" he asked gently. Vera hesitated, then nodded. "My stepmother. She told everyone I was cursed, that I brought bad luck. She locked me in a room most days. Sometimes she forgot I was even there." Jace clenched his jaw. "That's cruel. And wrong." Vera turned her head toward his voice. "Are all humans like you?" He laughed softly. "No, some are worse, some are better. I try to be one of the better ones." Vera gave a weak smile. It felt strange on her face. Smiling wasn't something she did much. She listened as he poured water into a glass and walked back toward her. He gently placed the glass in her hand. "Drink slowly. You're still weak." "Thank you." A long silence followed. Then Vera asked, "Why did you help me?" Jace looked at her, surprised by the question. "Because you needed help." "But you don't know me." "I didn't have to," he replied. "I saw someone in pain. That was enough." Her hands trembled slightly as she held the glass. "You're not afraid of me?" "Why would I be?" "Because I'm different," she said quietly. "Because I can't see. Because my people say I'm broken." Jace leaned forward. His voice was firm but warm. "You're not broken, Vera. You were just treated badly by people who didn't know your worth." Her lips parted slightly. No one had ever said that to her. He added, "And you're not different. In a bad way. Everyone's different. That's what makes life interesting." A tear rolled down her cheek and she quickly wiped it away. "You speak so kindly. It feels like light." That made Jace pause. She didn't know what light looked like, but she could feel its warmth in his voice. "You don't need to be afraid of me, Vera," Jace said gently. "I won't hurt you. Ever." Her fingers tightened around the glass. "Even if I'm blind forever." Even then, even though her world was black, her heart felt something new, like a door had opened. For the first time, she didn't feel like a burden. She felt seen. Jace stood up and walked over to a box. "I want to show you something." She turned toward the sound of the lid opening. "This," he said, "is an old Terran medical device. My people used it for eye treatments. I've been repairing it. It might help you." Her heart skipped. "Help? How?" "If your eyes are only damaged physically, this can stimulate healing. It won't be easy or guaranteed, but there's a chance." Vera's hands went cold. She had stopped dreaming about sight long ago. The hope had been crushed out of her by years of loneliness and darkness. "Is it dangerous?" "A little," he said honestly. "It might hurt, and it might not work." She sat quietly thinking. She was scared. But then again, wasn't she always scared? "What do I need to do?" she asked. "Rest for now. Get stronger. Then, when you're ready, we can try." She nodded slowly. Later that night, Jace helped her lie down. He brought her an extra blanket and stayed in the other room to give her space. Before she drifted off to sleep, she whispered into the quiet room, "Thank you, Jace. From the other side of the wall, he replied softly, "You're welcome, Vera. Sleep well." And for the first time in years, she did. Vera woke up slowly. For once, she wasn't cold. The bed under her was soft. A warm scent of something baking filled the air. She could hear the soft crackle of a fire. And somewhere in the distance, a bird chirped. She smiled, even though she still couldn't see. But her other senses were stronger. And for the first time in her life, the world didn't feel like a prison. She sat up carefully, brushing her fingers over the blanket. Jace had said she needed rest. And she had slept, deeper than she had in years. "Morning," came Jace's voice from the kitchen. "You're up." His voice was always calm, never sharp. Each word felt like a hand holding hers in the dark. "I heard the bird," she said softly. "What color is it?" Jace looked toward the window. "It's bright yellow, like sunlight. Tiny thing, but loud." Vera nodded slowly, trying to imagine. "Yellow must feel like joy." He smiled. "That's a good way to describe it." She heard him walk over and set something beside her. "I made bread," he said. "It's a bit rough. I'm more of a tech guy than a cook, but it's warm." Vera reached for it and felt the steam rise. She took a bite and smiled. "It tastes like peace." Jace sat beside her on the floor. "You're good with words," he said. "I had a lot of time alone with only words in my mind," she replied. He didn't speak for a while. Then he asked, "Do you want to go outside today? Just to feel the air? I can guide you." Vera hesitated. The outside world had always been a place of danger. Her stepmother's voice haunted her even now. "Stay inside. You'll bring shame." But she wasn't with her stepmother anymore. She was with Jace. "I'd like that," she whispered. Jace gently helped her up. He placed her hand on a wooden cane he had made, carved smoothly with a curve at the top. "This will help you feel the ground," he said, "and I'll be right beside you." Step by step, they walked out of the cabin. The snow had mostly melted and spring was beginning to show. The air was cool but fresh, carrying the scent of soil, flowers, and tree sap. Vera turned her face to the wind. "I never knew the world smelled like this." Jace guided her toward a wooden bench he had built near a tree. She sat, hands folded in her lap. "Tell me," she said. "What does it look like?" Jace looked around and began slowly. "There's a blue sky above us. Light clouds drifting by. The tree behind you is tall, with pink flowers blooming. The grass is just starting to grow, bright green. And you're sitting here with a small smile, the sunlight on your face." Vera blushed, slightly. "I wish I could see it." "You might," he said quietly. "The machine, it's ready, but only when you're ready too." She nodded. "Part of me is scared. What if the world isn't as beautiful as I imagined?" Jace thought about it. Maybe not always, but beauty isn't just in sight. It's also in what you feel. He took a deep breath and said, "Want to touch something special?" "Okay." He reached into his pocket and took out a small carved box. He placed it in her hands. She felt the smooth wood, the tiny carvings of leaves on the lid. "I made it for you," Jace said, "with your name on it, in both human and your alien script." Her fingers found the letters slowly. She gasped. "You learned my writing? I wanted to show you that your name matters. You matter." Her hands trembled slightly as she held the box to her chest. No one had ever given her a gift. Not once in her entire life. She didn't speak. She couldn't. So Jace did. "You don't need to see me to know I care, Vera. Even if your eyes never open again, I'll still be here." Vera reached out, her hand searching, and gently touched his face. His jaw was rough with stubble. His cheek was warm. She traced the curve of his mouth, the line of his brow. "You smile a lot," she whispered. Jace laughed softly. "Only since I met you." They sat there in silence for a while. No need for more words. For Vera, it was a moment of peace. No darkness, no shame, no fear, just wind, warmth, and someone who didn't walk away. For many days, Vera and Jace lived in peace. Each morning he helped her outside to feel the wind and smell the flowers. Each night they sat beside the fire and she listened to his stories of earth and stars. But peace never lasts forever. One evening, while Jace checked his scanners outside the cabin, he saw something, movement on the far side of the hill. Vehicles. Not human. His eyes narrowed. Company. Inside, Vera was stirring soup. She couldn't see, but she had memorized where everything was. She felt proud. For the first time, she was doing something by herself. The door swung open. Jace entered, tense. "Vera," he said quickly. "We need to talk." She turned toward him. "What's wrong?" "There are people coming. Aliens. Your kind. A transport ship. Armed." Vera's breath caught. Her fingers let go of the spoon. "My stepmother," she whispered. "She found me." Jace nodded. "Probably." She backed away, panic rising. "She's going to drag me back. She'll lock me up again. She'll say I brought shame." "No," Jace said firmly, stepping closer. "I won't let that happen." "You don't understand," she said, shaking. "She controls everything, the guards, the house, the rules. If she says I belong to her, they'll take me, no matter what I want." Jace's jaw tightened. "Then they'll have to go through me first." Outside, the ship landed. Heavy boots hit the ground. Voices barked orders. It had begun. Vera was shaking. She clutched the small wooden box Jace had given her, the one with her name carved into it. Her only treasure. The door slammed open. A tall, sharp-faced alien woman entered, dressed in fine robes, rings on her fingers, eyes cold like glass. It was her stepmother. "Well," she said with a fake smile. "There you are." Vera turned her face away. The woman stepped forward and snapped her fingers. Behind her, 2 armored guards entered. "She is my property," the stepmother said. "My husband left her in my care. She ran away. I am here to collect her." Jace stepped between them. "She's not a thing, she's a person, and she didn't run, she escaped." The woman raised an eyebrow. "And who are you, human? Some savior in the woods?" "I'm someone who treats her better than you ever did." She scoffed. "She's blind, broken. She belongs in the shadows, not in the arms of a human." "She belongs where she feels safe," Jace said sharply. "And that's not with you." The guard stepped forward, ready to grab Vera, but Jace didn't move. "She has a choice," he said. "Let her speak." The stepmother laughed. "She has no voice in this matter." "I do," Vera said suddenly. The room went still. She stepped forward slowly, her hands shaking but her chin raised. "I may be blind," she said softly, "but I can see more clearly than I ever could with my eyes." She took a breath. "You never loved me. You never cared. You locked me in darkness and told me I was worthless, but Jace, he never once made me feel ashamed." "You were a burden," her stepmother snapped. "No," Vera said. "I was a child. You were the burden." The stepmother's face twisted, in anger. "Guards, take her!" But just then Jace pulled out a small remote. "Try it, and your ship will never leave this forest." The guards froze. He had rigged the ship's engine with a safety lock earlier. Just in case. "You wouldn't dare," the stepmother hissed. "Try me," Jace said calmly. A tense silence followed. Vera stepped beside Jace. "I'm not going back," the stepmother glared. "You'll regret this." "No," Vera whispered. "I'll regret nothing." She held Jace's hand tightly. The stepmother stared at them for a moment longer, then turned and stormed out. The guards followed. Within minutes, the engines of the ship roared and it vanished into the sky. Vera collapsed into Jace's arms. He held her tightly. "It's over," he whispered. Tears rolled down her cheeks. "She's gone." "You stood up for yourself, Vera," Jace said softly. "That was all you." "I was scared," she said. "But you were brave," he answered. "And now you're free." She leaned against him, heart pounding. She still couldn't see, but everything around her felt brighter. Freedom had a sound, a warmth, a feeling. It was this. Vera sat on the edge of the bed, her hands folded in her lap. She could hear the sound of wires crackling and tools clicking behind her. Jace was working again, tighter, more focused than ever before. The room smelled like burnt metal and cooling, gel. A soft beeping came from the machine Jace had finished rebuilding. Her heart beat faster every time she heard it. He was almost done. She touched the wooden box he had carved for her, her name still traced under her fingers. "Are you scared?" Jace asked gently without turning. Vera hesitated. "Yes." He stopped working and looked at her. "You don't have to do this." "I know," she said, "but I want to." She stood up slowly and walked toward the sound of his voice. "I've lived in darkness all my life," she said. "I want to know what the world really looks like. I want to see your face and not just imagine it." Jace smiled even though she couldn't see it yet. "The device is ready," he said, "but I need you to understand. It's not safe." "Understand." "It could fail," he said, "or hurt you. You could lose more than your sight. You could die." She nodded slowly. "But if I live, I'll finally have something I never had before. Hope." Jace swallowed hard. "Then let's do it." He led her to the medical chair. She sat down carefully, gripping the armrests. The cold metal under her fingers made her skin tighten, but she didn't flinch. Jace placed small sensors around her head and gently opened her eyelids. He whispered, "You might feel pressure, maybe burning, but don't move, no matter what." Vera nodded. The machine beeped louder, a blue light flickered. Then pain hit her, like fire inside her skull, like lightning. Behind her eyes she gasped but stayed still. The heat grew worse, her heart pounded, her fingers dug into the chair. Tears leaked from her blind eyes. "Almost done," Jace whispered. "Hold on." She wanted to scream, but she remembered what he said. "Don't move." Then, just as suddenly as it began, it stopped. Silence. Jace leaned forward. His voice was trembling. "Vera." She didn't respond, her head hung low. "Vera, can you hear me?" Slowly she lifted her head. She blinked, then blinked again. Light, blurry, but real. Shapes moved. Shadows. A face. She gasped. "Jace?" He stepped back slightly. You see me?" I think I do," she whispered. "It's fuzzy, but you're there. You're real." Tears ran down her cheeks, tears of shock, fear, and something deeper. Jace reached out, unsure. "Can I touch you?" She nodded. His fingers touched her cheek, and this time, she looked straight at him. His face was softer than she imagined. Messy hair, bright eyes, a scar near his temple, and the most gentle smile she had ever seen. "You're beautiful," she said through her tears. Jace laughed quietly. "That's supposed to be my line." She laughed too, the sound broken but full of joy. She turned her head and looked around slowly. The wooden walls, the fire, the tools on the table. Everything was strange and perfect. She touched her own hand. "I never knew what my skin looked like, or my nails, or the color of fire." "You've just begun," Jace said. "The world is wide, so much to see." Suddenly her body shook, not from fear but exhaustion. The operation had drained her. Jace noticed and quickly helped her back to the bed. "You need rest now," he said. "Your eyes are working, but they need time." She lay down but kept her gaze on him. "I don't want to sleep," she whispered. "I just started seeing." "You'll see more tomorrow," Jace said. "And the day after that." She smiled softly. "Stay with me." He nodded. "Always." He sat beside her until her breathing slowed and she finally drifted to sleep. Outside, the stars began to shine. just as one more spark of light was born inside the heart of a girl who had lived in darkness for far too long. Sunlight streamed through the wooden window. It touched Vera's face like a warm hand, gentle and soft. Her eyes fluttered open, and this time the world did not stay dark. She saw colors. Real colors. The golden firelight dancing across the walls, the brown wood of the cabin, the pale blue sky beyond the window. All new, all beautiful. For a long time she just lay there, eyes wide, heart pounding. She was no longer blind. A quiet gasp escaped her lips. Then came a tear. Then another. She sat up slowly, legs trembling under the blanket. Her hand reached for the wooden box beside her bed. Her fingers traced her name. But now, she could actually see the carved letters. She laughed. A quiet, broken laugh full of joy. Footsteps approached the room. Jace pushed the door open with a tray in his hands. Simple breakfast and tea. He stopped. She was looking right at him. He froze. Vera. She stood up slowly, and for the first time her eyes locked with his. I can see, she whispered. Her voice shook. Jace. I can see you. He dropped the tray. The plate hit the floor, but neither of them noticed. Jace rushed forward, and Vera stepped into his arms. I never knew, she said, looking up into his eyes. You're exactly how I imagined, but better. He held her tightly, burying his face into her shoulder. I was so scared it wouldn't work, he said. I didn't sleep. I just waited. I didn't sleep either, she said, smiling through tears. But I wasn't afraid. Not with you here. They sat down together, surrounded by broken dishes and sunlight. Vera's gaze moved slowly around the room. Every crack in the wall, every nail in the wood. She remembered touching them all in the dark. Now, she could finally see them. She touched her own face, then her arms, almost surprised by her own shape. I always imagined myself looking different, she said. But I'm not disappointed. You're beautiful, Jace said quietly. Always were. She blushed and looked down. Then she reached out and touched his face again, but this time not to guess. Now she was looking straight into his eyes. They were deep brown, warm, honest. I always wondered, she said. What does kindness look like? She smiled. Now, I know. It looks like you. Jace laughed, a little embarrassed. That's not fair, you're going to make me cry. Good, she teased. I cried enough. They spent the rest of the morning walking outside. Vera took slow steps, amazed by everything she saw. The trees were taller than she imagined. The grass was greener. The sky, so endless. Birds flew across the horizon, and she clapped her hands with joy. Jace, that one's red. I never imagined red like that. He smiled. Wait till you see a sunset. They reached the same bench he had built weeks ago. She sat down and stared at the mountains far away. So much I missed, she said softly. You have a whole life ahead to catch up, he replied. Vera turned toward him. Her expression changed, gentle but serious. I want to live it, she said, with you. Jace blinked. Are you sure? I was blind when I started loving you, she whispered. But now that I can see, my heart hasn't changed. He reached out and took her hand. She smiled. But peace didn't last long. That evening, Jace picked up a signal on his communicator. He went pale. What is it? Vera asked, noticing his face. He showed her the screen. Her stepmother. A message was playing. Her voice cold and angry. You stole from me, human. I want what's mine. I'll be coming soon, and this time you won't stop me. Vera's smile faded. She won't give up, she said. No, Jace replied. But neither will we. Vera stood tall, her eyes blazing. She kept me weak by keeping me in the dark. But I'm not weak anymore. Jace nodded. She's not ready for the woman you've become. Vera looked at her reflection in the window. A face she never saw before now looked back at her. Strong, alive, free. She can come, Vera said. Let her see what I've become. Let her see me stand in the light. And for the first time in her life, she was ready to fight for it. The next morning the sky was calm, but something in the air felt heavy. Vera stood by the cabin window, her eyes fixed on the distant hills. She had only seen the world for a short time, but already she understood how beautiful and fragile peace could be. She touched the wooden box again. Her name, her identity, her story. Jay stood beside her, checking the scanner screen. They're coming, he said. Same signal as yesterday. Bigger force this time. Vera nodded. She's serious? She's afraid, Jace replied. Afraid of the woman you've become. Vera looked up at him. Then let's show her I'm not afraid anymore. They packed what little they needed, a comm device, emergency gear, and Vera's walking cane, though she barely needed it. Now. As they stepped outside, the wind swept her hair gently around her face. She closed her eyes for a moment and let it touch her skin. When she opened them again, her stepmother's ship was already landing. The same silver vessel as before, but this time, more guards. Heavily armed, faces hidden behind helmets. The ramp opened, and there she was, stepmother, regal as always, cold eyes, sharp tongue. So, the woman said, walking toward them, the little blind burden has learned to stand. How touching. Vera didn't flinch. I'm not your burden anymore. The stepmother laughed. You think a few kind words from a human make you free? You're nothing without me. Jace stepped forward, but Vera gently raised her hand. Let me speak. She looked her stepmother in the eyes, truly looked for the first time in her life. I lived in darkness and you were the one who kept me there, Vera said. But Jace, he gave me light, and now I see who you really are. You, ungrateful brat, the stepmother hissed. I gave you a home. You gave me a cage. You are mine, Vera stepped forward. No, I'm me. I was never yours to own. The guards moved, but Jace raised his communicator. I've locked your ship's engines again, he said calmly. Try anything, and you're walking home. The guards froze. The stepmother stared at them, then at Vera, shaking with rage. You'll regret this, she whispered. You'll come crawling back. I'd rather crawl blind into a storm than live another day under your roof, Vera replied. This is my life now. My choice. And I choose him. Jace took her hand gently. Vera squeezed it back. They stood there side by side, an alien girl who had once been hidden and silent, and a human who saw her worth when no one else did. The stepmother turned without another word. The ship lifted, dust blowing across the field. This time she didn't look back, and just like that, the past was gone. Vera leaned into Jace's chest. He wrapped his arms around her. You were amazing, he whispered. I was terrified, she admitted. Bravery is being scared and still standing tall, he said. You did that. They stayed outside until the sky turned gold. That evening, Vera lit the fire herself. She made the tea, and for the first time she looked into Jace's eyes, not with fear, not with hope, but with love. I never imagined a life like this, she said. You don't have to imagine anymore. He smiled. She moved closer and gently touched his cheek. Do you remember the first time I touched your face? She asked. I do, he nodded. I couldn't see you then, but somehow I already felt safe. Jace's voice was soft. And now? Vera whispered. Now, I see you, but my heart knew you long before my eyes did. They kissed. Simple, quiet, and full of everything words could never say. Later, as stars filled the night sky, Vera sat by the window, her head resting on Jace's shoulder. She could see it all now, the world, the stars, the face of the man who saved her. But in the end, it wasn't her new eyes that brought her joy. It was love. A love that needed no sight. A love beyond sight.